what is up, everyone? Welcome back to this brand new episode of Hockeytown Rundown. You are here with us, your beautiful host, once again, Carlo and Zach. Carlo, how are we doing this rainy, cold Sunday morning?
Vibing. I don't care about the rain. It's not going to get me down. We're vibing.
You don't melt in the rain like I do?
I do, but not today. Just choose not to.
That's fair. Bad for dogs. Dogs wet. Dogs don't like water, or at least my dogs don't like the rain.
Yeah. Quick little update on my dog. I don't even know if this is relevant, but he's in bad shape today. He's got a UBI, little upper body injury. Dude, he was chasing something hard last night, and I think he crashed into the fence. I don't know if he was chasing a solid wood fence. I don't know if he was chasing a squirrel, a bunny, but it was like 10 o'clock. I'm like half asleep. He's outside. I'm outside too. And I just see him. I've never seen him move this fast. And I just heard like this crazy like boom. And I'm like, oh, somebody got messed up. And he comes hobbling out. He has like this little gash in the corner of his eye. And I just hope he's not concussed because he's quite lethargic, but he's typically pretty lethargic on rainy days. Typical Golden. But he's in better shape today, but we're hoping he's all right. He's definitely not playing today. He's going to be out. But day to day.
Put him on the IR with Razor and
no IR. No chance. No chance.
Well, good. Day to day, upper body injury, like Carlos said. Typical Golden motion to be doing that. Unfortunately, I hope your bubbers heals up well.
Appreciate that.
Still funny. I can't help but laugh. That's a typical Golden thing to do.
Literally, I don't know. The creature he was chasing, I couldn't see it. I could see him, and I couldn't see the creature. And it was in like a bushy type of area in the backyard. And again, I can see him. I got string lights. Everything's lit up. So it's definitely a small size. So I'm thinking bunny. I'm thinking squirrel. I've never really seen a squirrel out at night though, so I'm not too sure. But he hit that fence hard, dude. Like it was loud. I'm like, oh. So yeah, he was feeling it. But anyways, quick little dog update for y'all. Appreciate y'all listening to the story. Appreciate all the good lucks and good vibes sent over to my boy Jax. We appreciate it. Let's get this party started, Zach. Actually, before we do, I think you got a couple words.
I do. I got a couple words, and that is to say thanks for joining us on this brand new episode. Once again, if you are returning, but if you are brand new, we appreciate you stopping by as always. If you have not already, if you are watching or listening to us on YouTube, take the time to hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and then hit that notification bell. Hitting all those are free. It lets you know when these brand new episodes come out throughout the week. Game recap Sundays. We're going to be doing midweek episodes as well, just touching on specific topics, having guests on like Jake Rivard. We'll be having others joining us throughout this season as well. So stay tuned. Be on the lookout for those. Hit that notification bell. Carlo, I don't know if you knew this. We did announce it, but we'll announce it again. On YouTube, if you are subscribed to us or really anyone, on your YouTube app only, it has to be on your phone, on the app, there's this really cool hype feature button.
Yeah, that is cool. I like that.
Yep. So if you go on your app, if you go down to the comment section on that specific video, there's like 3 bubbles. Maybe there's 2 right there. You could swipe over on the comments, and there's this really nifty hype feature on there. You hit that, gives our video some points. Essentially what that does is it helps smaller channels like ours grow and get noticed to other Detroit Red Wings fans alike regarding hockey, all that good stuff. It just helps us get more exposed to those that may not know about us yet. Doing stuff like that truly does help us out. Doing all that stuff on YouTube is free. It's also free to do this stuff on Spotify and Apple, which is to rate us to 5 stars, hit that follow button, and then following us on all the social media platforms like Twitter, where we are most engaged. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, all of your favorite social medias. Go ahead and follow us on there. And then Carlo, let's go ahead and just jump into everything,
dude,
and talk about the Detroit Red Wings, man.
Hey, man, let's get dialed in here because there's actually quite a bit to talk about, dude, because, these games haven't really been, every game's been different. Like, I don't want to say all these games haven't been perfect. Nothing's really perfect, but like the game we're about to jump into right now against the Leafs in Toronto, so Monday night's game, October 13th, like definitely not a perfect game. Like far from a perfect game for the Wings. Yet, Dubs were in the chat. Like they snuck out a W. They lost every period by more than double if we're looking at shots, but they got the win. So for me,
Popcorn meal of the day is the dub.
you know what I'm saying, man? So for me, that's actually really, really promising because they're squeaking out wins in some dog fighting games. No pun intended. Now I feel bad for Jax again. But anyways, it's
Poor Jax.
like they held Toronto off the power play, which is impressive in Toronto, which means their PK went perfect against Toronto. Yes, there I said it. So I guess that was the one perfect thing. But for me, the good with this game is that, like I just said, they found a way to win the game, Zach, and it was not a good looking game for the Wings. Now, my one take that I'll say before I hand it back over to you on this one, 2 words: Cameron Talbot.
Absolutely.
Take it away.
Absolutely unreal effort by Cam Talbot to not only secure the win, but having to face 40 shots against a heavily talented forward group, Toronto Maple Leafs, putting up a .950 save percentage, went 38 for 40, kept the team in the game. First period, you had Dylan Larkin taking charge, taking the lead. Second period, straight wash between both teams. Very back and forth game. But like you mentioned, the Toronto Maple Leafs heavily outshot, outfavored the Detroit Red Wings, and the Red Wings hung on. And that seems to be a recurring theme with this team is, I don't want to say, for Carlo, I guess, lack of a better term, they're hanging on. But I don't mean to make it sound so doom and gloom by
I
that
agree with
meaning.
you. Yeah, I agree with you there. I know where you're going.
Their defense as a whole has tremendously improved.
Yes.
5-on-5 could be a little bit better, but the overall defensive game of this team is night and day difference compared to the team of last year. 20 block shots, 18 hits. You had less giveaways than the Toronto Maple Leafs. Going into the third period, too, James Van Riemsdyk gets his first goal as a Detroit Red Wing. Mason Appleton gets his first goal as a Detroit Red Wing, both coming in the third. Mason Appleton, with the last 45 seconds in the game, put the team on his back, though, with an absolute rifle of a shot.
So nice.
This game overall, I don't want to call it one of their better wins, but against a top team like the Toronto Maple Leafs, Carlo, looking back, I can't remember, and maybe we did, but we had them pegged as one of the top teams in the Atlantic Division. Granted, it's still very early, but you hear that? It's the Leafs of change. Typically, it's the Winds of change.
My
right?
Lord.
But it's the Leafs of change. Goodbye, Mitch Marner. Bring in the Detroit Red Wings. We beat them twice in a row. One at home, one away. It's the Leafs of change.
People are going to think that's the title of our episode today. The Leafs look like they miss Mitch Marner quite a bit. And I think, I guess, correlate that back to this game. Like you mentioned, the second period, nothing happened. It was a wash, but we still got severely outplayed and outshot by almost 3 times. But I think correlating that to Mitch Marner, like that just kind of goes to show you what that kid can create, what he can do. Like if Mitch Marner's in that game, I don't think we have a chance of winning that game, especially when it comes to power play and whatnot. But we got lucky out of that second period, and I'm so happy that you brought up defense too, because they are playing very simple D, man. Like they're letting the goalies see the puck. They're boxing out well. Their sticks have been great. Like I don't know if that's a luck thing or if they're truly practicing like stick contact when it comes to the other guy having the puck and what you're doing with it. But the D has looked simple and effective, and clearly that's working out for them up until this point. Sample size is super small. We're 5 games in. Another huge test today against a high octane offense in the Edmonton Oilers. Although I know McDavid's probably looking to score finally. We'll go for that. But yeah, this was a very exciting game to win, considering all the ugly stuff about it. And we're going to take that all the way to the bank, baby. You better believe it.
Yeah, let's touch on a little bit of the downs in this game where assistant captain Lucas Raymond actually went down early in this game, played just
Yeah.
13 shifts, really didn't get to involve himself too much in this game, other than he was able to collect an assist off of the Dylan Larkin goal. Lucas Raymond being injured, your top line talent, definitely, you could tell it affected them during this game, missing someone like Lucas Raymond, and obviously moving forward, he didn't play the next 2 games. But the Red Wings somehow, not trying to move too forward ahead, but they're doing pretty fine without him. I don't want to say well. I want to kind of hesitate on saying that they're doing well without him. I don't believe that's the case. I can't sit here and say if he was out for the rest of the season, the Red Wings would continue doing what they're doing. I cannot say that for certain. Not even at 25% or 10%, I could say that.
That's fair. I mean, listen, it's Lucas Raymond. Like, let's not pretend that's not a huge loss. The power play really has looked pretty dull without him too, because guys are kind of playing roles and spots on the ice that they don't normally play. And they have to obviously fill the hole of Lucas Raymond. So now you have a whole new person up there in JVR, which I kind of like because of the net front presence. It is nice to see that. We don't want to see the Red Wings lose anybody. Thankfully, Raymond looks like he could actually come back and play today. I know he took line rushes in practice yesterday. He was shooting. So that's all really, really good. It's just a matter of seeing how his body feels this morning, according to the Todd father himself. But let's talk about Mason Appleton for a second. Because, yeah, we don't want Raymond out for a long period of time. He's been out for 2.5 or 2 3/4 games, including the Toronto game. Mason Appleton gets the call. And, dude, he's looked great. Like, that guy went from being on, like a checking line to now being on the top line. You know, and his role really hasn't changed that much. He's still playing the game the way he plays the game. Yeah. Providing legs, finishing checks, kind of that forechecking presence. And he's been rewarded for it several times now, man. Like, he scored that beauty against Toronto, scored another one. I can't remember which. We'll get into it. I don't want to go too far ahead, but he's being rewarded for his efforts, and he doesn't look out of place, and that is awesome for the team and for the fans. That is so, so awesome. Because the good news is that Raymond's injury didn't look severe. I'm hoping it was like a contusion in his shoulder, which sucks. It hurts, but it could be a lot worse. Anyways, probably going to be back, if not today, next game. And we're living all right, man. We're off to Cincinnati, as Mr. Belichick would say. So let's go for it, man. Like, we're all right.
And the segue going into the Florida Panthers game, much like Carlos said, shout out to the Todd father for having the goal, I'll say, to insert someone like a Mason Appleton, who's a UFA signing this offseason. We really don't know much what he could do for this team because it's still early. We only had a small sample size, but we really liked what we saw out of him in preseason, the couple games. And like you said, you know, we see him on the fourth line getting around the 10 minutes, 11 minutes, maybe 12 minutes, get some PK time. And yeah, the physical presence that he brings, the forechecking, the physicality that he brings, the approach that Todd took to insert someone like him onto the top line to not replace Lucas Raymond, but insert him in the time being, especially when you have someone like Emmett Finney up there as well. You look at those 3 players on that top line. You got Emmett Finney, who's all gas, Dylan Larkin, can score, speed, forecheck, hits, really check. Everything.
Yeah.
Check. Then you got Appleton up there. It's actually a really good, solid line. Could the Red Wings do that moving forward for the rest of the season? Once again, going back to the question, if Lucas Raymond was out for the rest of the season, could they use that moving forward? Maybe. But the way that Mason Appleton looked in this game, another 1T ripper to get the boys going, starting in the second period. The Red Wings had a very slow first period in this game. Very typical of them. I called them out on that.
At least we didn't lose the period.
They didn't lose the period. That's one of the benefits there, right? And then you got Patrick Kane coming back on the power play in the second period. Brad Marchand quickly gets it back too. And then Mason Appleton and Michael Rasmussen both getting empty net goals. Mason Appleton, after this game, was leading the team in goals. Now he's tied with Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin, after the game against Tampa Bay, leads the team in points, 7 points in 5 games played. But Mason Appleton, 4 points, 3 goals, 1 assist in 5 games played. Is this Steve Yzerman magic?
You know, I would I don't know, like if it's a Stevie Y thing. I mean, obviously he went and got the guy, but his deployment and his usage, that's all Todd. Steve Eisner went out and gets Mason Appleton. Don't really know too much about him. I know he's played in Winnipeg, but I don't know much about Mason Appleton, the hockey player, right? So what I did was reach out to a few Winnipeg Jet podcasters and just some diehard fans that are online and said, what are we looking at with Appleton? Like, give me the good, the bad, the ugly on this guy. And the one common theme that came back from, I think I reached out to 3 for sure. The common theme that came back was, man, he plays with so much heart. And that's the one thing that I have been longing for with the Red Wings is players who play with heart. They're not puck watching. You know what I mean? They're not hoping and poking their sticks around. Like they're playing and you can tell that they're giving it. And ever since I've started watching Appleton play on the Red Wings, that's what I'm seeing with him is a player with heart. So to your question on Stevie Y, did he go and get Mason Appleton for a specific reason? If it's me throwing a shot at this, I think he went and found a guy that plays with heart. And Todd took care of the rest. That's how I would describe Mason Appleton's first 5 games with the Red Wings, right? Comes in and he's playing a role. He was a role player. And then, Raymond goes down. And he's the guy that gets the call to come up to the top line to provide the legs, the energy, dare I say it, the heart. Not that Larkin doesn't play with heart. We all know he does. But I think to have 2 guys who play the way they do in Larkin and Appleton around Finney, I think just the coaching chess game that went on there to make that decision was perfect. Because did you see how Finney played last game against Tampa? Showed a lot of heart in that game. Kind of hard not to when you're playing with 2 guys that show heart game in, game out. So bravo and claps to McClellan for really, I want to give him his flowers too for a second, man. He's just been coaching so well against these crazy tough opponents. Albeit the Florida Panthers are wounded right now. We understand. Mm-hmm. The Leafs are without Mitch Marner. We understand. But these are still top teams that are slated to finish top of the division, probably top of the conference as well. So, I mean, I just got to give Todd his flowers, man, because he's been doing a very nice job with his interesting, at times, choices. But then you see those choices play, and you're like, bravo. Right on. Okay. So, long-winded answer, Zach. I don't know where we're going at this point or if I even answered your question, but that's how I feel about Mason Appleton, Stevie Y going and getting a guy like that, and then Todd deploying him the right way. I think I wrapped it up.
Yeah, I should have included Todd really into that question because Todd is the one who deploys the players. I think you're correct by saying that, and that's clear that Steve, that's the type of players that he drafts. So it only makes sense that those are the types of players that he goes out and gets in free agency. I would say kind of like a diamond in the rough sort of situation once again, and credit to Todd. And also, if we're going to give flowers to Todd, I think it's fair that we give it to the rest of the coaching staff. They've done a fantastic job with this group of players, especially inserting the 3 young kids. You're swapping in one forward almost every single game. Now that there's injuries too, that kind of makes things a little more difficult for the coaching staff to make sure that the recipe of success the rest of the season moving forward continues. Dubs in the chat. We always want dubs in the chat. So with JVR being inserted and then Berggren and whatnot, so you're having this continual rotation. So I think you have to give flowers to the coaching staff as a whole, not just to Todd, but I would agree with you that Todd is the one who makes that final decision on the deployment, where these players play, what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. Everyone's doing their job. They're doing a fantastic job at that. And just really speaking on Mason Appleton, this guy has essentially passed some of the other key vets that we have on this team that have been with us for 1 to 2 years already. And by that, I mean, there were specific times where during preseason or even during the off season where we're like, oh, we have to put JVR up on the top line. We haven't seen that yet. He's only played 2 games. So fine. Maybe we'll get there eventually. We might have to put Andrew Kopp up there. I haven't seen him up there yet once. Elmer Soderblom. I made that comment. I was like, I would love to see Elmer Soderblom up there. We haven't seen that yet. There were a couple times where we saw Michael Rasmussen up there. Haven't seen that yet. And that's where I come down to the whole Mason Appleton signing is that, and kind of correlates to Todd saying, we talked about it on our last episode when we spoke on last Sunday. the 4 players that Todd had to have talked to. And I spoke with Jake about that. We brought that up on our midweek episode as well. He actually agreed with you. And that's, that's totally fine. And thinking about it more, I actually more agree with you on that side there, that the 4 players that he talked to were the vets that aren't playing the game that they're supposed to. So maybe the Cops, I would assume it's the JT Comforts, the Benny Sherratts, the Beargrins, the Sodas, that they need to step up. Because we just went out and got this free agent, Mason Appleton, and he's already gained the trust of the coaching staff within the 4 games that he's been playing with this team versus some of the other guys that have been with this team for a year, 2 years, or plus.
It's funny you say Ben Sherratt. That makes a lot of sense because we're going to talk about Benny contract year Sherratt in the Tampa game. But just wanted to mark that real quick because it's very interesting you brought him up in there, and I totally agree with that. So
yeah, ever since then, though, Carlo, some players have turned it around a little bit. We will touch on Ben Sherratt because I agree with you, and I know I kind of spoiled it, but he's been looking great ever since that.
Right? Like
contract year. Do we want to really call that a contract year? I mean, granted, it is technically a contract year for him, but are you saying it in the sense?
No, I'm not saying in the sense that he should be re-signed. No. Hang on a second here. Benny, play your heart out, but go get signed for a lot of money somewhere else, please. Mo needs to have no shot at Ben. He's truly been playing great, but we need Mo to have, I don't want to say he needs to have a better partner, but it needs to be the kind of fit we're seeing with Edvinson and ASP.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like you have that shutdown D-man in Ed who can make a great pass, who can skate. And then you got that heavy offensive heavy offensive minded defenseman in ASP. Like there's just such a stark contrast there, but it's so well balanced. Could be better balanced, and I'm sure it'll come. I mean, it's 5 games in, but I'm looking for the right guy for Mo who can allow us to really, I don't want to say scale back the usage tremendously because at the end of the day, Mo's our number 1 D-man. But dude, if you look at their usage, holy smokes, man. He's earning every single dime of his paycheck.
They're getting their flowers amongst other fan bases online, especially the analytical people. They're saying, Moritz Seider's deployments are getting a little bit better. They haven't been as egregious as in the past.
Dude, they're still so high. But maybe that's what Mo wants, man. Maybe Mo's a gamer. I think I would take a lot to convince me that he's not. Like that guy wants to be on the ice. If he could play 60 minutes, I'm convinced he would.
Well, and it's kind of like when you first start working out, right? It sucks for the first 3 weeks. And let's try and compare that with someone like Moritz Seider. How do you get to the point where you do this consistently enough to where it's just a second nature to you? So making Moritz Seider, granted, obviously, we don't want to burn him out. We've done that pretty much ever since he's joined the Detroit Red Wings. We put him in very tough situations. So all I'm looking at and making that comparison to the more you make him do it, the more comfortable he gets doing it. And it's just second nature to him.
Yeah. No, hey, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe he wants it. He craves it. I mean, the thing is like, and this is where coaching, I think, is going to really come into play, especially as we get into, game 30, game 60, et cetera. But I'm really looking to see some of the other defensemen on the team take some more steps to help with Mo's usage and deployment. And I can't be the only one thinking this, man. But the good news is that I think the other guys are I think they are taking steps. You bring up a guy like Albert Johansson and Jacob Bernard Docker. Okay, they're playing 10 to 12 minutes a night, super low minutes. But like they're very effective within those minutes, man. Like they look really solid and sound. So it's like, do those minutes start to grow a little bit because they're gaining the trust? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. But when those minutes kind of grow, they got to come from somewhere. So do they get matched up against some of the guys that maybe Ben and Mo would get matched up against to kind of get a little bit of time for themselves while bringing Mo's and Ben's usage down a bit? I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but it's a maybe. I mean, they're playing well enough for me. And this is just me. I could be way off here, but I would like to see those guys get a little more ice. They look really good.
Let's move over and talk about the most recent game, Carlo, against the Tampa Bay Lightning, which was a very, very exciting game, to say the least, because in that first period of that game, our boy, Axel Sandin Pellikka, gets his first career goal against a top Atlantic team in the Tampa Bay Lightning, against a top goaltender in the NHL, Andrei Vasilevsky, scoring on the same date as former Detroit Red Wing.
What a stat. What a stat.
34 years later, Carlo.
I love that.
And his smile, too, at the end of that first period going into intermission where they told him about that stat. As soon as they told him, you saw his eyes just kind of like glow up like, what?
Yeah.
Really?
Totally.
Whoa. It was
Best
just really
defenseman
cool to
ever,
see
too.
that.
Called it like it is. His comments were great. Man, he's really good with the media. I'm really impressed for his age and just how quickly he's kind of been thrown in here. He's been getting a lot of media time, and he's been great. He's been handling it really well. Very, very mature kid. Seems like a very bright kid too. We talked about this with Casper. I don't know. Stevie's got something going on here with picking these brainiacs, man. He's picking some high IQ people. So it seems.
And that's, not trying to go deep into what Steve Yzerman said about drafting, but we as Red Wings fans know the Red Wings never really had that lottery luck. I think we're very thankful that obviously we were able to land players like Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider, and some of these other guys, the Marco Kaspers, the Simon Evansons, right? At the time, we were obviously disappointed we weren't getting the lottery luck. Looking back at it, though, to your point, these guys that just have the hockey IQ and this demeanor of already sounding like they're 30 years old and have played in the NHL for years already. It's definitely the specific mold that he's looking for, and that could carry this team for a very long time. As long as these players have the hockey awareness, the hockey IQ, the smarts, the sky's the limit for a lot of these kids and this team moving forward. It's a very exciting time to be a Detroit Red Wing fan or Detroit sports fan in general, Carlo. But continuing on with this game, it did end up going into overtime. I should say, to start off this game, Carlo, they must have listened to Jake and I on our most recent recording, because at the beginning of that recording, I called out their team for their lackluster first period play, very similar to how they played last season. First period, they always looked like they were behind, even if they didn't score a goal against us, or if we didn't score a goal, it was just always lackluster, it seemed like. The boys just could not get the juices flowing. They made me eat my words, Carlo. That was an absolute clinic of a first period by the Detroit Red Wings. What, the Tampa Bay Lightning didn't have a shot for the first 15 minutes of that period?
Yeah, for sure.
About there. So it comes down to the Red Wings capitalized in their defensive zone, taking the puck away, disrupting any chances that the Tampa Bay Lightning had. Granted, I will give them this, they did not have Kucherov.
Yeah, which is, it's big. You know what that goes to show you, though? Like, every team has that problem, right? You lose your main guy, you're going to have some struggles. Tampa Bay definitely had some struggles. Those first two periods, they were on the struggle bus, buddy. Big yellow one. But then they came around in the third period and decided to play some hockey, and they absolutely dominated. And I guess an extension of that, and even tipping back into the Florida Panthers game real quick, the Detroit Red Wings blocked 43 or 44 shots between the Tampa game and the Florida game. Tell me that's not a team that's bought in. Come on. 44 blocks over 2 games. I was like loving that, man. I was loving that. It just for me, it shows me that these guys are bought in and they're digging in.
And then 100%, and give credit to goaltending too. We didn't touch on Cam Talbot for getting his third win in a row too, as well, against the Florida Panthers, also putting up another 950%. And then John Gibson this game, fantastic.
Gibson looked really, really good. And then again, the PK. We talk about it, the extension of the block shots. A lot of those came from the PK. These guys are running a really solid penalty kill, man. Florida didn't score. Tampa didn't score. Toronto didn't score. Let me repeat that. Florida, Toronto, Tampa. That's the top 3 teams in for sure our division. Mm-hmm. Some would even say the conference.
That's 7 attempts that your opposing teams had to score on you, and you did not allow them to do that. And that was one of the key things that we wanted to see out of this team, Carlo, is I do want them to be a top 10 PK unit. Disrupt all the PPs out there.
Listen, it
sounds really weird when I say it that way, but you see what I'm saying? Like, be a top 15
flag.
PK. And that's what they're doing. They are doing exactly what they need to do. The 9-day difference between this season and the previous season, it's just huge, night and day. But while we're on the topic of PK, you look at the Red Wings power play ever since losing out on someone like Lucas Raymond. They went 2 for 10 on their power play between these 3 games. And that's without Lucas Raymond. So on both ends, right? PK's doing really good. PP's doing fine. We need Lucas Raymond still in there.
I don't know if you guys caught this, but I'm hoping you guys did. Todd brought up a really good point about that, because did they score and light the lamp on these power plays? Not as much as they would like to. But in some instances, especially against Tampa, I think their power plays is what gave them the juice to stay in the game, keep pushing, because they definitely had some nice chances, right? So momentum. Obviously that comes from scoring goals, but it also comes from cycling in a zone and working another team for, a shift or two, 60 seconds, a minute 20, whatever. I think that played a part in the Wings kind of chasing that contagious feeling of gas pedal all the way down. And they did it for 2 periods against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Again, their power play didn't score, but their power play, I thought, was still strong, and it was strong enough to carry some pretty good momentum for the boys. However, there was a few power plays that looked like snoozy power plays. The drop pass 3 times, and then you got to like dipsy doodle around the ring, and then I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, there was a couple power plays that were kind of yikes. But they figured it out, and I think those were against Florida. But they figured that out, and they had some strong looks against Tampa. Obviously, again, they didn't convert, but I thought it played a role in their gas pedal identity of that game, because it was pretty solid.
Yeah, Alex DeBrincat still is scoreless, but he's having a lot of opportunities. It's just eventually it's going to happen, unless I posted that one crazy weird stat of Alex DeBrincat. I think he's on pace for 128 assists with no goals throughout the season if he continues the way that he's
going. That's right.
Would you be upset if that was the case? Alex DeBrincat, no goals, but ended up putting 120 points just in assists alone. Dare I say Riley Shahan 2.0.
Last goal to Joe, no big deal.
Last 2, not a big deal.
That's true. I think those were his only 2 goals of the season, too. Not to go on a Sheehan tangent, but yeah, that's hilarious. Of course they were.
But yeah, with the power play, and we talked about this, the PP1 is so good. If they score, second unit obviously doesn't get any looks. The first unit is so good that they keep it in the offensive zone for so long. By the time the second unit comes out, they're getting only 30 seconds.
That's yeah.
But also, to that point, and I still stand on this, I think our first power play unit is just that drastically better than our second unit. Granted, we have 3 rookies on that second unit, right? Finney, MBN, ASP. Then you have Kopp and Comfer. It needs work still. I don't think Kopp and Comfer are the greatest people to put on there. And I think in this game against Tampa, they had Casper on that second unit.
Yeah, they did.
And Casper, not really to go too in depth with him, but I don't think we should be hitting the nervous button yet. I definitely expected him to have more than 1 point so far this season.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and I don't want to call it a sophomore slump either, but he's playing really good hockey in general, and it's gonna come just like how it's gonna come with Alex DeBrincat.
Yeah, I think Casper's not playing poorly. Like, I tell you that right now. Watch him play. Like, his 200-foot game. Like, this, he's taking a huge step, I think, in his 200-foot game. But I think the offense will come for him. We seen it against the first game against Toronto, dude. He just absolutely torched it. Mm-hmm. Top cheese. It was beautiful. He's got the abilities to do it. Definitely no panic button yet. You look at his game defensively and what he's doing. I mean, he's being relied on a lot. How many turnovers have Patrick Kane had? Like, I love Kaner, but like, how many turnovers has he had that he's not going and chasing down that puck because Casper's already there, right? So, there's that second line is like the only line that appears to be locked. especially in practice, line rushes and all that stuff. Like there's no tinkering with that line. That is just like set. Right? The first line, we're seeing obviously changes because of Raymond. The third line, we're seeing some changes, hopefully seeing some changes because I think Cop and Comfer on the same line, I think we got to figure something out there. Can I give you a quick wish list for the third line?
Do it.
So hear me out. Don't kill me. Just a look. What if Raymond comes back, plays left wing, Larkin and Appleton is on the right wing? Well, where's Finney going? To the third line with Cop centering and MBN on the wing. Give MBN some wheels, please. Is that good or bad for MBN? What do you think? Drop it in the comments. Let me know. Am I nuts? I am nuts, but am I mega nuts? You tell me.
I don't think you're asking for too much with that, to be honest. Especially with, not to gripe about Emmett Finney. He's actually playing really well. I mean,
playing unreal.
Game, yeah, with Tampa Bay, he actually put up 18 minutes, 35 seconds. Before that, he was only averaging, I don't know the exact number. So would that be the worst thing? No, I don't think so. And I would agree with you. I think that if it was like Finney, Cop, MBN, I think that's a great third line. We even talked about that with Jake. The standard checking line or shutdown line of the NHL. I guess I'll ask you, Carlo, since you weren't there to really answer it, but do you think that's dying in the NHL? And based on what you're saying, it sounds like it is. I don't think it's really needed. And I think Todd McClellan and the Red Wings kind of answered that too by putting someone like Mason Appleton up there on the top line. I don't think you need 3 forwards that all do the same thing. Let's put players that have different skill sets that mesh well together and essentially come together and create one ultimate super Connor McJesus type of line, so to say.
We'll do it all. You know what? It's funny is shutdown line, checking line. It's just a nice way, politically correct, diplomatic way to say this is a line that just can't score goals.
Yeah.
That's what that is. And, you ask if it's dying in the NHL. Yeah, because players are getting better and can do both. Shut down, check, forecheck, back check, and guess what? Score goals. So that's where the whole lies. I mean, we're not going to go on a tangent on Comfer, although we probably could. But there's just way more skill out there than what a guy like Comfer has. And I know he's a pro, and I know he's got a role to play, but there's just a lot to be desired there on the scoring offense side with Comfer. And yeah, I don't know. Back to my whole third line wish list. Comfer would slot down to 4C, playing with Rass and Soda. That'd be my fourth line, and you call that your shutdown checking, can't score a goal line, whatever you want to call it.
And it's so funny that if we were to call it that, Cop, Comfer, MBN as the shutdown or the checking line, looking at it from the perspective of like hits, being physical, if that's
MBN fits right in.
Role,
fits right in.
Comfer this season has 2 hits.
Yep. How many does MBN have?
Leading the team with 18, and Mr. Emmett Finney right below him with frickin' 17.
There you go.
Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And it goes to your point, and I even said this too with Jake, that the game's just getting so much faster. These players can score.
Mm-hmm.
That is the reason why they inserted these kids, because they have the gas in their tank still versus I don't want to pick on Cop. I think Cop is still being serviceable for us, but the Comfers, I hate to pick on Michael Rasmussen, but I'm going to do it anyways. The Michael Rasmussen, Elmer Soderblom. I mean, these kids are tripling the amount of hits. Elmer Soderblom has 6. Elmer Soderblom, 6'8". There were a couple times where I saw him, he could have gone in and murked some dude against the boards, and he just let up. I'm like, bro, that is not how you're going to keep the spot on the lineup.
Very vanilla players, man. They're just very vanilla players. And, you look at these kids who are playing with, these kids are Tiger Tail. You want to talk about ice cream flavors. The kids are Tiger Tail, Comfer, Cops, Sodas, Rass, vanilla. It's not even vanilla bean. It's like vanilla. That's it. Just vanilla.
I will give credit. This is the one point where I will give JT Comfer some credit. However, this is part of his job because he does play on the PK. This is how he's getting some of his minutes night in, night out. 7 block shots. The team leaders right now are Simon Edmondson with Ben Sherrod at 12, ASP with 11. That's important. That is very, very
He had
important.
4 against Tampa, man.
Then right underneath him, it's my right sider. Then JT Comfort comes in at number 5. So at least JT Comfort is blocking shots. I do like that part of him, but you also have to play more of the game.
He's blocking
be
shots
able to
because
create scoring opportunities for your players. I will say the game in Tampa, they did a couple times for MBN. MBN had a couple shots.
Yeah, they had a couple nice cycles. You're right about that. You are right about that.
I will agree with you for it that if we can insert more speed, and if that means Emmett Finney, that's going to help out MBN. And I'm curious to ask you, Carlo, if MBN, let's say by game 9, because you will have to make a decision for some of these kids. Do we want to keep them on the roster or not? And burn.
Brother, they're not going anywhere. They're staying.
I agree with you.
Okay.
But let me ask you, because maybe this is on the mind of some Red Wings fans. If MBN is pointless by then, do they send him down? Me personally, I think no.
I think they are giving him some reps on a line that is required to play heavy. And lo and behold, he's the heaviest player we have right now. Just throwing his weight around, pitching his checks, hitting hard. His sticks are great, disrupting plays in the neutral zone. He's doing every single game. For me, it's like it's time to reward this guy and give him some wheels, man. Give him some wheels. Give him some power play time. You brought up the fact that they see maybe 30 seconds of the power play because, power play 1's really overshadowing and taking up a lot of those minutes, which is fine. It's a very solid power play, and you got to respect the names on that power play. They're going to get the time. But I think MBN deserves some time now, whether that be power play time on PP2, getting them out there a little bit more, letting them start the power. I don't know, like giving him some opportunities, and whether that mean with more ice with the power play, whether that mean a look in the top 6, or bringing somebody on the top 6 who's, providing so much wheels and juice for them, bringing him down to play with MBN. And now you're creating, a third line that can follow up that second line very well, because we all know Todd loves his line matching. Now you're sending out a third line that's got some wheels right after, first line, second line. Talk about tiring teams out. Now you got Finney setting things up for MBN while Kopp does his 200-foot game. Man, for me, I just think MBN is due, and I wouldn't be surprised if something happens today. He gets on the score sheet. But for me, it's just like I said, he deserves something to unlock the next piece. Like it's, when you beat the level and you got to go do the boss fight. Like we're there, man. We got to go let him do the boss fight.
And I think today would be the perfect game to do it, especially if both Lucas Raymond and Patrick Kane were out. I think if I were Todd, this episode is going to come out for those that are watching it. Maybe the game's already happened with the Edmonton Oilers. I could see MBN being on that second line going into today's game.
That would be the fun take. The boring take is JVR's on the second line, which I don't love it.
I don't think that I hear what you're saying. That would be the boring thing to do. And I think that probably is more realistic. The only reason why I would go against that is because JVR still technically has to get up to speed. He's only played 2 games, whereas MBN, ASP, Finney, including the preseason, I think Todd said now that would have been their 11th or 12th game now that they played. So going into their 13th, let's call it NHL game, so to say, the preseason included.
Yep.
Give him a shot. Why not?
That's what I'm saying.
And that's the thing, too, is that why we say these things where put MBN on the second line, you literally only have to do it for a shift, and if it doesn't work out, send him back to the third line. It is what it is. It's not always a lock, and we're not gonna. These aren't hills that we're gonna die on.
No, we're just asking for looks.
Hear your guys' takes. Yeah.
Yes. Well, Edmonton, 3 p.m. Score predictions.
They played last night.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know who's gonna start and not. I don't know. It could be me. It could be you. It could be Jax. You never know, right?
With an upper body injury.
Yes. It's always Connor McDavid. Albert Johansson does a fantastic job at shutting him down. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be very interesting to see the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, if they don't have Lucas Raymond, if they don't have Kane, or if they have one or the other, Even if they don't have both, I would still say it's a win. Score prediction, I will go 3-1. You have John Gibson in that, who in this game for the Tampa Bay Lightning, yeah, you mentioned earlier he had a very good game, and I was very nervous for him because, like I said, first 15 minutes, basically no shots on net. So that made me nervous that we were just going to get that one shot on net, one goal type of thing. Gibson held on to his own. He's going to be starting today. I think he has another fantastic game, keeps the boys within it. I think we actually have a really good 5-on-5 performance. And that's the other thing about the Detroit Red Wings is that 5-on-5 is still a little bit lacking.
It is lacking.
But that's where the defense comes in. If you can shut down the other team's defense 5-on-5 and on the PK, it still matters if you score 5-on-5, but we're getting the wins no matter what. So a goal is a goal. Do you have to be the best 5-on-5 team scoring wise? No. Dub's a dub. So just to kind of nitpick on some of the other analytic people that have been putting nonsense out there about the Detroit Red Wings, because this team, they're different, Carlo. They are locked in. They're ready to go. They are not the same team as they were last year. I'm going to say 3-1 Detroit Red Wings. My long-winded answer there. What about you?
I was going to say 3-1, but I copied you last episode. So I'm going to copy you again this episode and say 3-1. My is we need to, in talking about defense, in order to achieve this 3-1 dub, talking about a very slippery and elusive Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, we need to help Gibson out hardcore today. You need to take away the east to west passes for those two, because that's how they dominate their power plays, their zone cycling 5-on-5. It's just your typical NHL EA Sports cross ice passes, and tink, they're in the back of the net. So we need to do a really, really good job defensively to take away the lateral stuff, to give John Gibson a fighting chance to, take things directly where he's shown he is very, very, very solid. That's my score prediction and how we can achieve that. I think DeBrinket's scoring today. I think Michael Branzik-Nygaard's scoring today. I think Ben Sherratt's scoring today, Zach.
OT Benny, the overnight assassin, scores tonight.
Contract year, Sherratt is scoring a goal. I'm going out. There's a big neck out here, but...
Wait. Do you hear that? It's the Leafs of change.
It's so good.
It's the Leafs of change. So, Carlo, it begs me to ask the question. I think there's a little caution here. Have the Red Wings found consistency? Is that the recipe for their consistency moving forward, is playing the lockdown defense on both, not only on the defensive end, the forward end, because the forwards are doing a really good job at that. Insert MBN, Emmett Finney right here, along with Dylan Larkin, Mason Appleton, and then goaltending. Is that the Red Wings' consistency moving forward? Is Aljo, JBD down there, the ASP, Emmett Finney, MBN, is the youth essentially the consistency that the Red Wings have found to keep them where they are right now and moving forward?
Well, I think the youth in the lineup is what allows this lineup and result be somewhat consistent in terms of how the team is deployed. There's been a lot of consistencies with usage deployment, and I think a big part of that comes from having these kids in the lineup. Has the Red Wings organization, team, have they found consistency? I don't like answering that question until there's a way larger sample size of like 20 games, personally. But it looks like they're onto something, Zach. I will say it does look like they're onto something. They're not going to win out the season. That's not going to happen. There's going to come times where there's some mishaps that happen, blah, 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 blah. But if they can continue their strong defensive play as a team, if they can continue a strong PK as special teams comes about, if they can continue buying into the system of blocking shots for, the next 12 to 15 games, then I think we have a team that's found consistency and have truly found an identity. Right now, I just it's tough for me to answer that definitively, man. I think I want to, but you can't. It's such a small sample size. But I'll leave it with they're on to something. They are definitely on to something, and we're here for it.
Yeah, it is very tough to answer that currently at this point while we're going into game 6 of the season. Yeah. So you got 76 following up to that. Anything is possible. We know the Detroit Red Wings of March. We've talked a lot about these young guys. Most that they've probably ever played in a season would be maybe 50 to 60 games max. 82 game season is a long time. We haven't seen the Red Wings play in a back-to-back situation yet. We will this week on Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
We haven't seen them taking a road trip yet.
Yes.
But to slightly answer it, they have found consistency a little bit, but can they continue that moving forward? Have they truly found the consistency to have that recipe of success for the rest of the season and continue staying at the top of the Atlantic Division? That's where we're going to leave with the folks at home.
Boom.
Let us know what you think down in the comments. What have the Red Wings found consistency? What do they got to do moving forward to keep it up? And Carlo, one more final question, I think, before we wrap up this episode. I think this would be a good stopping point for us, is when do you believe is the correct time for Steve Yzerman to go out and make an impact trade, much like on the scale of an Alex DeBrincat, but on a higher scale? Would that help the consistency of this team? We talk about 5-on-5. PK's doing really well. If we inserted someone who maybe can bring in a little bit more 5-on-5 scoring,
yeah.
When do you think is the right time for Steve to make that impact type of trade? We did put out that poll. 53% said now. 35 to 36% said next year. Your thoughts and opinions on that?
I think next year. I think right after the Christmas freeze, you take a good hard look at your team. You look at your numbers. You look at find the hole, because you have a solid sample size. Doing anything now, to me, doesn't really make much sense, because how can you know what you need 5 games into a season, right? Come the new year, you have a large sample size, and at that point, you can really highlight, circle, underline your holes. And when you go and look through the data, the eye test, the video, whatever, you have conversations with Todd, whatever. So for me, it's the new year, like fresh into the new year. That's when I think if something were to happen, it would happen at that point in time. You?
Yeah, it even goes back to, we haven't seen them play back-to-back. We haven't really seen this team struggle to really pick apart the parts on this roster where we do need improvements. I think it's very easy for us to say, yeah, we obviously need an upgrade from JT Compher, maybe from Cobb, maybe from some of these other guys. It's easier to say that, but we're on a 4-game winning streak, so why are we going to change something if it's not technically broken?
That's the other part,
we haven't seen really the broken parts yet of this team. We will eventually, and it's going to happen. Unfortunately, you can't win every single game as much as we would love to. And even if you did, there are parts you can pick apart. I think we're very fortunate to have the steady goaltending that we've had, minus game 1, obviously. John Gibson looked great. Hopefully he can do that this game coming up against the Edmonton Oilers today. Kids got to keep stepping on the gas pedal, never pump the brakes. Some of these vets definitely have to keep their eyes bug-eyed and much like Alex Lyon and feel like that there's a burning sensation on their back ends and keep playing like their job's on the line.
Yep.
I would agree with you. I think closer to the new year is when Steve starts potentially making some calls and seeing what's out there. And let's touch on that too, Carlo. There were some other teams at a recent Grand Rapids Griffins game looking at players. And that's the thing I actually wanted to bring up too, is a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's for Gus. Oh, it's for Paul or whoever else it is. That's these vet guys. There are slight chances that they could be looking at players like Mazur, Ammo, whoever else is on there as well.
Kosa.
You really never know. But your thoughts on some of those teams being there at the Grand Rapids Griffins game. Do you think it's other teams looking for specific players on the veteran side?
I think it's great. The only opinion I have is that I think it's great. You have some other teams taking a look at the Detroit Red Wings prospects. It sounds like a tip to the cap to Stevie Y. I don't think they're there for Gus or Hall. They might be, but I think they're more looking at some of the more exciting prospects that we have too, which tip to the cap to Stevie Y on that one. Not a big deal. Haters gonna hate.
Well, especially since majority of those teams, they have next to nothing. So they got to get young kids from somewhere.
Yeah.
The Red Wings technically have a plethora of them. So it kind of makes sense from that.
They do. They do. No, that's a good take, man. That's where I'm at with it too. Because Like I said, you're not going to just watch and scout on those two defensemen. You're just not. Gustafsson, I can see more than Hall, just because he's a little more offensive than Hall. Power play time, cool. But you're silly if you're not taking a look at, especially a guy like Carter Mazur. Who would not want a guy like that in their lineup or their system? Another gamer. You know what I mean?
And that probably makes the most sense. It would be him and Ammo, considering. Yeah. I mean, there's next to no. There is no room for them on this roster. You could make the case for maybe next year, but are we really going to give disservice those guys like that? Who Mazur clearly needs to be on an NHL team somewhere. He needs to get that look. I get the argument that people say we need these kids to get meaningful minutes, and it's how I get it. Yeah, get the meaningful minutes, but when are we going to find out what these kids can provide for us if we just keep on saying, no, they need meaningful minutes. Don't let them play 10 minutes. It's fine if they get 10 minutes. I'm okay with that. But we eventually have to see what we have. So I hate the argument. Absolutely.
It's an argument. That's why it's an argument.
Let us know down in the comments if you think that these young kids need more meaningful minutes. Would you say ASP, Emmett Finney, and MBN are getting the quality, meaningful minutes on the Detroit Red Wings right now?
Without a shadow of a... Have you seen ASP's ice time? I'd like to see more usage out of MBN. I already talked about that today. ASP is like number 3 in ice time on the team. Finney, he's getting his 18 minutes solid. They don't... I think they're getting more than what people expected, especially ASP.
And that goes back to players like Carter Mazur, Amadeus Lombardi, even Nate Danielson, who should be coming back pretty soon, that the Red Wings are unfortunately strapped to some players like the Comfers, the Cops. Some of them will be gone next year, but I think Steve is kind of now in the spot where if I can't move JT Compher, I unfortunately have to move on from a young player or a pick. We're very close to that time where we got to start doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I think we can wrap it up here.
I think so. Y'all heard everything here first. Go Red Wings. Go penalty. 3-1. DeBrincat, MBN, Benny, contract year Sherrod. Heard it here first. Until next time, we'll catch y'all on the next one.
Dubs in the chat.
Later.
Love you. Bye.
Such a nice guy.
Too nice.